everyone, my name is Anfisa and this is Retina Coach. In this video we will discuss vitrectomy of a pseudophakic high myope patient with a multifocal IOL who presented with a MAC-on shallow retinal detachment and no identifiable break.
This case is from my fellowship training and I want to thank Dr. Galic for sharing his technique with us.
Visualization in this case was tricky because of the multifocal IOL. The detachment was quite shallow, making it difficult to appreciate the full extent. We started with the core vitrectomy and then used intraoperative OCT to get a much clearer idea of how far the detachment actually extended. Next, we injected triamcinolone, both to confirm whether a posterior vitreous detachment was present and also to help us visualize any remaining vitreous. After that, we performed 360 degrees sclerodepression, going clock hour by clock hour. Pay attention to the technique here, rolling the depressor from the ora serrata posteriorly and watching carefully for the break to open up. Even with a very thorough search, we still couldn't identify a retinal break. So we moved on to a peripheral vitrectomy with shaving of the vitreous base to release any potential traction. I often get asked by viewers what to do when you are dealing with the retinal detachment and can't find a break. There are several approaches and of course they can vary depending on the case. I'll be making a few dedicated videos on this topic because it deserves a proper deep dive. In this particular case, the detachment was localized to the superior temporal quadrant. One strategy for a localized detachment without a detectable break is to treat the entire affected quadrant with cryopexy or sectoral endolaser of peripheral retina at the vitreous base where most breaks occur. This creates a strong choroidal retinal adhesion and can effectively seal an undetected microbreak. Another approach follows the same principle, placing a segmental or encircling sclerobuccal to support the vitreous base and potentially close the break that led to the retinal detachment. So for this patient, we applied cryopexy to the superior temporal quadrant. And sometimes during the cryo reaction, those tiny breaks become visible as this tissue response highlights the edges of the break. The next question we face in cases like this is how to manage the subretinal fluid. In our case, it was relatively easy because only a small amount of subretinal fluid was present. We performed a direct fluid-air exchange, injected gas, and immediately positioned the patient face down to prevent the fluid from detaching the macula. When a larger amount of subretinal fluid is present, it should be drained, either through a drainage retinotomy or externally, especially if vitrectomy is combined with a sclerobuccal. We completed the case with an air-gas exchange using 20% SF6. Thank you for watching, and if you found this case interesting, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for the next case discussion here on Retina Coach.